Was Milarepa the inventor of parts work therapy? Hey everybody, it's Chris Lemig here at Gateway to the Limitless. I'm an author, spiritual educator, and former Tibetan Buddhist monk. And I teach a program called Gateway to the Limitless, where I teach you everything that you need to really connect with your true self, discover your true desires, and learn how to live and manifest your true destiny. So we're going to talk a little bit today about parts work therapy, also being popularized right now as internal family systems, or IFS. And also there's another system out there called core transformation that I know of that is absolutely fantastic. It was founded by and created by a woman named Connie Ray Andreas, and a couple other people too, but I remember her name, so I'll just stick to the facts that I know. But core transformation is wonderful. You should check that out if you haven't already. And what does all this have to do with Milarepa? So if you don't know who Milarepa was, basically he was one of the most famous Tibetans to attain full Buddhahood or enlightenment, total liberation and Buddhahood. And his story goes something like this. He, grew up in, Middle Ages in Tibet, and there was an issue with his uncle basically usurping his family inheritance. His mother didn't like that, so she sent Milarepa away to sorcery school to learn how to curse the uncle, which he did learn how to do, and he came back and he really cursed him really bad. And actually he wound up, doing some sorcery magic and wound up killing a whole bunch of people as a result of that. Out of total, remorse and guilt, he went out to seek for a spiritual teacher to find spiritual atonement. And he found his guru named Marpa, who really put him through the ringer and really showed him no mercy, and gave him very strict instructions on how he could purify all that karma and attain liberation and Buddhahood, which he eventually did. Now, along the way, while he was doing a lot of meditation practice in caves and mountain retreats, actually it's said that he did so much meditation practice he actually had calluses on his butt from sitting on rocks. So doing all this meditation practice, he would regularly experience what is described in his writings as demons. And now whether these were, external demons like other entities, local spirits and things like that, or they were the, manifestations of his own subconscious mind, doesn't really matter. Probably a little bit of both, in my opinion. But in any case, there's a famous story about him coming home to his cave one day and finding that there was like 3 really vicious looking demons sitting in this cave, just taunting him. And he came into the cave and he was trying to go about his business and do his meditation, but they were just really relentless. They were very terrifying, and they were trying to just, throw him off of his mindfulness practice and get him to give up his spiritual practice and his whole endeavor and all that kind of stuff. So they're really terrifying. And so Milarepa did all these practices. He, tried to just ignore them. So he did that for a little while. That didn't work. They just laughed at him and just, sneered and just, upped the ante a little bit. And then he did some practices where he just meditated on the empty nature of all phenomena, that, nothing is really real. Everything is illusory and dreamlike, including these demons. And they just laughed even harder. They said, "Oh gosh, you've got to be kidding." And they just, attacked him with all sorts of, verbal taunting and, fearful images and all these sorts of things. And then, finally, after trying a few things and just the demons just not responding at all with anything but, more fervor, more tormenting. Suddenly Milarepa said to himself, "You know what? I'm just going to invite these demons to have tea with me." So he did. So he just said, "Hey, you guys, I'm going to make some tea here in a moment. Would you like to have some tea with me?" And at that exact moment, once he had that he made that invitation to them, and he kind of changed his whole attitude about them and just invited them in and said, "You know what, you're here, come on in, let's sit down and have some tea and just have a chat." They immediately transformed into these beautiful local deities that were just these beautiful gods and goddesses that, they sat down and had a really pleasant experience. So this is really what we do when we do what's called parts therapy, or sometimes it's called internal family systems, is again how it's being presented out there, or that other practice I was talking about, core transformation. And what we are doing is that we are calling up any parts of ourself that are giving us trouble. This could be psychological parts, emotional parts, memories that torment us, past traumas, woundings, things like that. And basically what we do is that we, first of all, we identify the part that is, really giving us the trouble. And then we kind of feel into it. We allow ourselves to become a little bit mindful, and just rather than trying to push it away or run away from it, we settle in and we just start to kind of find out where do I feel it in my body, and what does it kind of feel like? What does the energy feel like? And once we've established that connection with it, then we actually imagine that we can invite it outside of ourselves. So we can actually invite it outside of our body so that we can have a conversation with it. And we do this with a tremendous amount of love and respect, and even a sense of gratitude. So once this part kind of comes out and we can start to have a conversation with it, we give it thanks, because it's like, thank you so much for being willing to have this conversation. And then we start to have an in-depth communion with this part, to really get to know it and try to understand, what is this part really trying to accomplish for us? What's it trying to do for us? And this is a really powerful therapeutic way of reintegrating our energies that have become sort of fragmented, or that kind of feeling of just, that inner conflict within us, where we feel like there's a part of ourselves that is bringing us down, or self-sabotaging, or procrastinating, or, just negative self-talk, or anxiety, or depression, whatever it might be. Feels like it's our enemy. Feels like really it's a demonic force within us sometimes. And what we're doing is we're inviting it out, and we're saying like, hey, sit down with me. Let's have some tea. Let's have a conversation here. Now, in my program, Gateway to the Limitless, I teach a practice which really addresses this in a really beautiful way, where, again, we just get kind of grounded. We tune into the part that we're having trouble with. We can call it a block, or we can call it a resistance, whatever label we want to put on it. And we just tune into it, and then we bring it out, and we have that conversation. We have that heart to heart, and we're very firm with it, but we're also very loving. And we're saying like, hey, look, you've been struggling here for a long time. You've been suffering, and I've been suffering with you for a long time, but now is the time. Now is the time that we can actually have a breakthrough here. Now is the time where we can really get to understand each other, and maybe even learn how to work together. And before we do this practice, we actually then, we invoke the higher self, or the true self, to sort of be a container for this whole process. And as we're bringing this part up, and we're having this conversation and learning more about it, once we've come to some sort of resolution with this part, where there's some transformation beginning to happen, we just take the part and we offer it up into the light of our true self, of our true pure being, to just be fully integrated, fully healed, and fully reabsorbed back into the energy of our own being in a positive way, in an integrative way, in a way where our energies are now working together in harmony. So this is just one of the really powerful techniques that I teach in the Gateway to Limitless workshop. You can just try that with those basic instructions right there. Identify a part that you are wanting to change and transform, something that's been giving you a hard time for a while. You want to just tune into it in your body. You want to then invite it to come out into the space in front of you. And I find that it's helpful even to put your hands out in front of you and imagine that the part is out there in your hands. And it might even take a form or a shape. It might be a little person, or it might be a blob of color, or might be a little troll, or something like that. Whatever it appears as, whatever your imagination, attributes, or thinks that this part looks like, go ahead and just let yourself experience that, and then have that heart-to-heart conversation with mutual respect, with love in your heart, but also being very firm and direct, and say, look, now's the time to have a conversation here. What is it that you're trying to do for me? What are you trying to accomplish for me? What is the positive intention that you have? What is it that you're, really trying to do in terms of protection, in terms of, being happy yourself? How are you, what is it that you're looking for? And once you've done this and gone through this process, then you want to just imagine taking that part with gratitude in your heart and just send it up into the light of your higher self. You can even kind of imagine actually doing that with your hands, just send it up into the light, let it just swirl around in there and integrate even more, healing and transforming. So I hope you found that practice useful. I've got other videos on the channel here that kind of talk about that a little bit. But if you have any questions about that, or if you have experience doing parts work therapy of any kind, whether it's internal family system or some sort of parts therapy, parts integration work, or core transformation, let me know down in the comments. I'd love to hear your experience with that. And of course, please like this video, share it if you found it useful, if you know somebody who might benefit from this information, and also subscribe to my channel. And also down in the description there, if you're interested in learning more about my workshops, how to register for one, or maybe even to work with me one-to-one, I've got some links down there for you to check out. So again, I'm Chris Lemig here at Gateway to the Limitless. Hope you found this video useful. Let me know down in the comments. Take care and be well.